This is where you say your bid. Oh, this is about him. A real looker, that won't.
You sure took your time, huh? Waited for him to get real ripe and pretty for you.
Oh, he was a real pretty boy. Hanging up there, letting out that pretty boy smell.
I can't for the life of me understand why you did it. I mean, I would have just left him up there. You must really like cleaning up other people's shit.
You might want to start asking your questions now. It's not going to get better than this.
Do a head count first. Connect these men to the tracks you saw in the yard. Chances are they're going to match.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? Yes, my eyes on the harbor have sent word to that effect. What have you discovered? Yes. And will you start an official investigation? Ah, good to hear. I wouldn't want to pry into a confidential police matter, but in the event you'd like to share more, I would like to know who it was. A runaway? We contain multitudes, do we not? It might not be pertinent to her profession, but who knows? It may help you find her yet. Clever. Few suspect a woman in this sort of skullduggery. Good move on their part. That speaks of the vastness and sophistication of the operation. Were you able to examine the radio? Taking it out of commission will deal a blow to the smuggling network. Excellent work. High-intensity microwave frequencies. They're used for navigational purposes, to compress the inter-eastlery space. They may use it to communicate with incoming freighters.
As the shipments approach Revachol? Somehow you suspect something more sinister.
I appreciate you placing your trust in me. Thank you again for looking into this matter. You have my gratitude, and the gratitude of Wild Pines Group. Now, per our original agreement, it's time for me to share company secrets with you. I wouldn't normally break protocol like this, but the situation demands it. If you don't solve this murder, I'm afraid we may have a bloodbath on our hands.
The words bloodbath sound cold in her mouth. They taste of iron and strawberries.
Yes. I'm afraid this strike may descend into a small-scale civil war. with possible consequences for all of Rivershoal West. I have an indirect role to play, I'm sad to say. My employer experienced a momentary lapse of faith in me. In that moment, they elected to deploy a private military contractor as an insurance measure. They called it my security detail. Absolutely not. These mercenaries are muscle, pure and simple. They are meant to intimidate the Union into surrendering. Crenell, an Oronese military company. As far as I know, 3 arrived in Martinez. They report to me sporadically, but they do not answer to me. To be frank, our relationship is deteriorating. They wear ceramic armor, have semi-automatic weapons, and years of combat experience. They also have trauma and stressor disorder, and no idea how to conduct themselves in an urban civilian environment. The story is, one of them, the Colonel, I don't know his real name, sexually assaulted a local woman while he was drunk and separated from his unit. This allows some of the more militant Union members to subdue him. He was taken out behind the whirling in rags and lynched last Sunday night. Nothing. Mr. Clare refuses to let me into the harbor. I have not been able to discuss this matter with anyone there. The remaining 2 Crenell contractors carry out their orders, for now. It's a smokescreen. In secret, they are conducting an independent military tribunal into the lynching. Once this investigation is concluded, executions will follow. It is very far from disco. My only hope is that you provide a single, concrete suspect before the mercenaries indiscriminately pick theirs. Simply put, if you don't pin this on someone good and do it fast, they will identify and execute everyone present at the lynching. This in turn will force the Union to respond.
The Union has over 2,000 men.
Have you ever seen a hornet invade a beehive, Detective? It's not pretty.
The Seraï's giant hornet, the world's 2nd largest insect, can kill 40 honeybees a minute, while a group of 30 can decimate an entire hive of 20,000 bees in less than 4 hours.
These men work in tandem using semi and fully automatic firearms. Their armor is virtually impenetrable to muzzle-loaded weapons, even yours. Most Union workers don't have guns at all. As I said, a bloodbath. Many bleak scenarios have already come true. Nameless, badgeless detective of the citizens' militia. All we can do is keep the rest from following suit. One single, concrete suspect delivered into civil court, and I may be able to defuse this situation. Not much. Their public resume is relatively good, as far as private military contractors go. I believe they were once called Downwell. They boast a long list of clients. Saint-Baptiste, Welchman-Lorenz, Eendracht. A warning sign, however. The operations concerned all take place in third or fourth world countries. Guarding facilities, escort missions and such. Sadly, no. Before this happened, I had little interest in them. Now that I do, I don't have the resources. If you still have access to the ICP's database, you could run a better background check than I ever could. It may take some time, though. Ah, yes, your condition. The International Collaborative Police maintains a database for these sorts of things. Perhaps I have, and they will. However, these orders take time to reach what is basically a rogue unit out in the field here. Until they do, it's all on us.
She's being truthful. She is pressing them as hard as she can.
Or he didn't. This is information passed on to me from some teenagers loitering around the canal. I cannot testify by it. That the man was killed because he assaulted a local woman. I've asked around a bit. This seems to be the accepted story around Martinez. Last Sunday night, at the Whirling in Rags, the hostel by the gates. Supposedly, the colonel was drunk, maybe on narcotics too. Either way, he's alleged to have sexually assaulted a woman. Sometimes that's a good question, officer. I don't have the slightest idea. As I said, it's a rumor about a rumor. In any case, it's what the colonel's remaining colleagues believe. If you mean did I see him alive? Yes, but I did not know him. Lely, his service name, a nom de guerre most likely. He wouldn't divulge his full name. Only one of them did. A bad sign if there ever was one. One is a man, Corty, they call him, a nickname as well. The other a woman, Phyllis DePaul. Corty is the gunner, I believe. DePaul is a radio operator. He was 40, or 50. It's hard to say which. He had a combat injury on his lower jaw. It made it difficult to estimate his age, or gauge his facial expressions. He was, Occidental, I think. Light brown hair, a mixed accent, Oranese, or Messinian, maybe. His injury gave him an accent all his own. In a way, it was humanizing. He had to learn to speak through it, through the injury. That's all I know, I guess. I only met him once. They've gone to ground, as it were. I don't recommend seeking them out. For one, they're almost certainly armed to the teeth. They don't have the same respect for the Revachol citizens' militia as I do. To put it bluntly, they think you're vigilantes. Ghetto savages. It will not be a fruitful meeting. You're likely to run into them eventually. When that happens, I'll be in a better position to mediate if I don't appear involved.
One is obviously the scab leader at the harbour gates. The one chanting the idiotic slogans. He's barely maintaining his disguise. The other has a vantage point in a building south of the roundabout. They were keeping tabs on you while you were canvassing the lorry drivers.
That may be so. I still hope you heed my advice. There's no need to kick the hornet's nest.
The situation at the gates is a powder keg. She says she wants to avert catastrophe, but that's where she draws the line. I call bullshit.
That would afford a good vantage point. In any case, it's practically inaccessible. I hope I can answer it better. Until the executions start? Truthfully, I don't know. It depends on their progress identifying the members of the lynch mob, and their impatience. Not on this matter. I'm afraid they consider this a personal initiative. It's a matter of days, not weeks. I am sorry to have been the bearer of bad news. If there is anything else I can help you with, please ask. Of course. Excuse my hesitation before.
For about half a minute, in silence. Her mouth is relaxed. The accordion lines near her mouth vanish. The pearls of her eyes move slowly on the photo's surface.
Sorry. I was trying to see if I can read the web of interdependencies between these points. The stars. I can't. But that's how you read this story. The points themselves don't have letters, numbers, anything. Their size, location on the body, and distance from each other tells you what they represent. Port cities. On the oceans. This is an Oronese map of the waterways, a sailor's tattoo worn by wayfarers of the Delorian century. As early as 300 years ago, the sailors would mark their bodies to map their travels. His platoon members? The other contractors, though I do not suggest you go and show them that picture. This man was their friend and comrade.
Surely there are other people to ask about the tattoo. This is not necessary to complete the task, officer. It's a dangerous side task. Search elsewhere.
Do what you have to do, Detective. I don't think deciphering that tattoo should come before public security. But if you should wade into the mob to find out, I couldn't stop you. The sailor's soul would use it to fly back home if they should die abroad. This is a sort of contraption to be reeled back in by. The silver cord, they would call it. Quite a few. Vredefort, the Oronese capital, traditionally stands on the right shoulder. He started somewhere near here, I think. Then he made his way to the Pretto Grande, through what I think must be the Stutz Canal, an artificial channel through the Occident. From the Pretto, he sailed to the Insulindic Ocean, first the Semines Islands, then this. Revachol. Those are the two constants. Vredefort on the shoulder, and Revachol in the heart. They started the tradition of these maps right after the discovery of Insulinde, at the dawn of the Inter-Islary Age.
The old world passing by, and the new you were already here.
I can't. This man was no sailor, and these are no ports. I can understand geographic fragments, but not their meaning.
Vredefort? Vredefort has a military academy. The Seminese Islands saw a recent conflict. In Revachol, he was executed.
That makes sense to me. We have no more use for a map of the waterways, just like we don't need sailors the way we used to. This is what the custom would morph into on the Occident. Mercenary tattoos.
For all the boys looking for adventure, a blood spatter on the seas.
Is there anything else I can help you with?
Fuck does Kuno care? Yeah? The kingdom of Kuno? The fuck do you... Yeah, whatever. Kuno doesn't give a shit. Kuno doesn't...
I've got nothing to say to you. Why are you wasting your...
Looks like the circus left town, but the clowns are still here.
Starting from the right, boot size 44, blonde man, in his 30s, overbearingly masculine. Sitting on his right, standard working boots, size 45 or 46, eldest in the room, probably mid-50s. Across at the other table, hobnailed working boots, size 43, gang tattoos, Mesk or Sarah Mauritian, in his late 30s, early 40s. He spent his youth in Villa Labos, a housing project in the Jamrock Quarter. There were incarcerations, hard to say what else. The ink is fading. And then, standard working boot, steel reinforced toes, size 46, the big dick, wide at the shoulders and lean at the hips, rugby cap, fingerless gloves, and numerous scars, a little under 40. The emblem on his vest says Rowing Club. A little patch below it reads T. Hardy, Captain. In the far corner, standard working boot, steel reinforced toes, size 44, 40-something, non-alcoholic beverage in hand. You squint. Is that a plectrum? On his neck. Forget it. It's not important. Let's call this one the musician. Size 41, with the light step. Not a child, after all. An older man with a rat face, mean, watery eyes, and 2 front teeth missing. In the middle, heaving and wheezing. Big guy, boot size 46, deep marks, probably carried the victim over. He alone is 130 kilos. Add the man in armor, and you could easily exceed 220. In conclusion, these 7 are the actors on the crime scene. The footprints were theirs, but there's a discrepancy. Exactly the missing lady driver who was running the drug trade. Does it mean the Hardy Boys are involved in the drug trade as well? Maybe, but hey, you've stood there for about 4 seconds not saying anything. Now is a good time to hit them with questions. Where's the 8th Hardy?
The fuck is with you, fella? What are you talking about, madman? There's no 8th Hardy Boy. There's 7 of us and we're all here. Or what? You want to be the 8th Hardy Boy? We ain't hiring.
Actually, boss, we've been talking and we think she could maybe...
She? So there's an 8th Hardy and it's a Hardy girl? Who might it be? Elizabeth? The gardener?
Shut the fuck up, Glenn! I do the talking here. Now what the fuck do you want, cop?
It has to be good if he won't let you pursue it.
Sorry, boss.
The pretty boy. You really love talking about him.
Evidence. Show them you have it. It doesn't have to be conclusive.
Evrard? And what did he tell you? That we killed him? That we took a cargo belt from the harbor, went out back, and used it to hang him? Because we did. All of us together. I hope he told the story straight. I hope he told it well.
There's a catch hidden somewhere. He didn't confess so that you could take them all away. It's too simple.
There is no catch. These 7 honest men have all equally come forth to tell you what happened, so that you don't waste any more of your time.
All 7 together. They're diluting responsibility. It's an anti-arrest tactic.
How many people have you sent to the Shays? Ever felt remorse for them?
Chaise électrique is the method of capital punishment in Revachol under the Coalition. During the suzerain's reign, it used to be the firing squad.
Or send them to Reunion to rot. For 20 years. For life.
The River Esperance Correctional Facility, a military prison run by the Coalition, dubbed Reunion by the inmates. The origin of the name is unknown.
Rest assured, lawman. None worse than our guy. He got what was coming to him.
Are you deaf? There will be no singling anyone out. You can't arrest a Hardy Boy without arresting all Hardy Boys. Do you think you could do that? Do you think you could arrest them all?
A trick question. Don't let her lead the conversation.
Who do you fucking think does?
That's right, asshole. Titus Hardy runs the Hardy Boys. Ain't that so, fellas?
I think you got your answer, Mr. Law.
No, you did not get an answer. Titus does administrative work. He pushes paper, fills out forms the others can't read. But on that night, they all acted as one man. You don't have to keep answering his questions.
I know, Lizzie. Relax. We killed him last Sunday night. Seemed like a good way to end the week.
Known him? We don't associate with scum like that, asshole.
Yeah! Who do you think we are?
Quiet. He came around about 3 weeks ago when that Pines cow first sailed into town. Happy? No. I mean the Pines cow. The stupid-ass cow they sent in to fuck us over. But you know what? Why don't you ask her about the pretty boy? I'm sure she has interesting things to say when you ask her hard enough.
That's enough insinuation for today, Titus. Officer, your interview is drawing to an end. Don't waste your last questions.
Why? 'Cause he was worthless mercenary scum. And he stepped out alive in my town. And he stepped out of line. The kind that shows up when you start a strike. The experienced kind, too. Had Cohoy and Semenine written all over him. Ex-Oranese Special Forces.
A live grenade. Right here in our bar.
I can't prove it, but I know he was sent by the Wild Pines. They hire merc shit like that. Story of every strike from here to Samara.
Cause one night, he walked straight up to the mic and said, I'm RNA's goddamn special forces, and I'm gonna fuck you all! Yeah, really. Had a gin and tonic up there, sang some RNA's paratrooper song, and said he's gonna fuck everyone.
We couldn't believe it either, but he fucking did, right there. Like some kind of animal.
Sire, the tale is true. This is a serious violation of the karaoke code.
Wrong. He harassed women, raped one, harassed workers, threatened to kill some as a warning.
From rape to harassment to threats of violence. Why the strange de-escalation?
To kill us all, if we don't open the gates, if we don't let the scabs in, if we don't bend over. And that was before he started coming here.
Yeah, he said it was his favorite joint now. Started coming here every night. Drinking, grabbing girls. Grabbed one of ours mid-karaoke, right there on the stage. Yeah, this girl's on the mic. A beautiful girl, young. Gets into the second verse of Lover Lake. The fucker grabs her legs, starts screaming. Show me your cunt! Why don't you show me your cunt? Then, he gets knocked on the head with a wine bottle. Doesn't even fall down.
Aren't you fucking listening? My man is talking to you. He took care of it. They got the...
Yeah, me and Eugene got around. Aren't you fucking listening?
There's something odd here. Seems like they don't want to talk about that rape Titus mentioned. Why not? This is a serious allegation. Make them talk about...
No. You're not getting the name. That's a Martinez matter. I'm not discussing it with you clowns. We hanged him up by his neck until he got real still. Wasn't that obvious, Copper?
Didn't they teach you anything at the cop school, idiot?
The autopsy did not reveal anything too conflicting this far. You just have to wing it.
Titus, you don't have to clarify anything.
We overpowered him, dragged his unconscious body to the tree, put a noose around his neck, and hanged him till he was dead and steady.
Then we left him for seagulls, maggots, and you fucks.
Make them a bit more uncomfortable first, then see if it all adds up.
With numbers, asshole. How do you think? You're right, Lizzie. I've done enough explaining here.
No, he hasn't. Not yet.
Weren't you fucking listening? The fucker came to our bar. It happened right here.
Titus is solid as a rock, and so are a few others. But...
No.
Of course he's having trouble breathing. Just look at how fucking fat he is.
Fuck off, Shanky. Angus is a powerful guy. All muscle.
keep your eye on this powerful guy. Sooner or later, he's going to break like a piece of twig.
And fuck you too, Copper. Picking on Angus like this. We're done with this schoolyard shit.
This one is a stone wall. You won't get more out of them about the night of the murder. Not yet.
Like what, Copper? Huh? How the fuck do I know?
Interesting, sire. It's as if he's lying to protect someone. He's not very good at it.
This line of questioning is over. You got the cause of death already? Hanging. If there's any post-mortem trauma, it's your problem. This will not turn into a cross-examination.
Yeah, lawman. Why don't you?
It's almost an anthropological sight, watching him try to assert dominance over you.
Not in the arresting mood?
The little rat-faced man reaches. Guns are stocked between the belts. 3, maybe 4 firearms.
Wise move. You made the right choice there.
Nothing. Your investigation here is done. You should go back to Jamrock.
Yes. Run home. Lonely. Rent a cop. Real law officials are done with you. You still on about that bullet? A bullet in a... Well... I guess it's only logical. At some point, one of them bullets had to end up in one of them heads.
It's bound to happen again, you know? Just statistically speaking, of course.
Sire, it would be an event most dramatic if you were to produce the bullet and dangle it before their very eyes.
Wow! He's got it in a...
Why don't you go home and log it into evidence? These men have told you what happened.
You know what I think? I think he was shot in the head as a kid, and his brain grew around the bullet.
Around the bullet, man. That's a good one.
All the goofing around is to avoid lying. It's a technique.
Shit! I probably did shoot him. I was drunk last night. You guys know me when I'm drunk.
Yeah, Glenn likes to shoot his guns when he's drunk.
Before, after, during.
Never been.
It's not like he blew it wide open, but there's a little crack in there, somewhere.